How wonderful would it be if we can have a centralized location where people who have been living in a state of survival, who every day when they wake up, they don't know, am I going to shower today? How am I going to eat today? How can we expect people to change their circumstance to just get a job when they're so focused on how do I survive today? And the concept of having a workforce shelter is really to meet the needs and allow people to travel out of being in survival mode. It's interesting when we meet with people, one of the first questions we ask is, what do you want to do career-wise? What, in a perfect world, what would make you happy? Where would you be working? And 99.9% of the time, without fail, people say, I don't know. Because when we are living in survival mode every day, we are impacted to the cellular level. We are negatively impacted. And how can we have the privilege of thinking about what do I want to do when we're forced to think about what do I have to do? I have a history of homelessness myself. I have lived experience, and I feel a deep moral obligation to create the tools necessary for other folks to make it out.
I do the work that I do because I was once that person that was living without housing. And I was once that person that was struggling with an SUD. And I knew what it was like to need resources or need help and not be able to utilize those resources because I didn't know that those resources existed. Since I've come to Vallejo, since I became an internal staff member of Vallejo, they've offered training and growth opportunities for me. And that's including certified peer counseling training. I'm now a certified peer counselor. People in my personal life tell me how much they see a change in me and how I've become different since I've become an internal staff member at Vallejo. I have a better sense of communication and how to communicate with people who are struggling. Because sometimes you have to love them where they're at, or actually all the time you have to love them where they're at. We want to love our participants where they're at. And so Vallejo has helped me gain the ability to just genuinely love people, not just to tell people how much I love them, but to prove to them how much we love them here at Vallejo.
In 2017, the declaration of emergency surrounding homelessness was a huge call to action, both for the county and the city, and all of the community partners who are working every day, who had been working every day to create solutions. In 2017, several partners came together to really look at what is necessary to have an impact on the crisis level of homelessness. And back then we had the stability site, which was launched, which really was the concept of people need a place to exist. And what we're seeing is that without proper shelter, people are creating communities of tents in the streets in our backyards to simply have a place to exist. And so the concept of why don't we allow people to exist in a state of where we're not asking them to move, where we're not coming and taking away their homes and shutting down their relationship with community. So the stability site was really a starting point in 2017 for the concept of Vallejo. When Vallejo launched in 2018, the goal was to be a nonprofit staffing agency, very similar to a Labor Ready. The first 2 years of operations, we really focused on building our business and creating that unique quick access to income and comprehensive case management that comes from combining a for-profit staffing model with a nonprofit philosophy. And then in February of 2020, a pandemic was introduced to our national community, and it had a really interesting impact on Vallejo and our business model. In March of 2020, we were approached by the Tacoma-Pierce County Health Department to launch our first shelter. Ben Ferguson is an incredible human being. His ideas and his passion for using his platform, his desire to really create solutions is in alignment with my own.
But what's nice about this is we have dorms, which is pretty much a room with a bed and some things in it, and then we have central kitchen, shared restrooms. That starts becoming much more cost effective. We did some preliminary projections about, how many people could fit in the building, and it's looking, if this was a $300 a square foot project, that this would be in the neighborhood of $70,000 per person, which seems like remarkably cost effective when you're looking at potential homeless services.
And so the model is based on our 3-phase approach to transitioning folks into full-time employment and permanent housing. One of the floors would be congregate shelter. Folks come in and they're in a community of others, all working towards a shared goal. And each person has an individualized employment pathway program. They have an individualized employment plan, housing stability plan, access to comprehensive case management. As people are coming and they're getting used to working again, they're used to getting up to an alarm clock, they're reducing barriers to employment, maybe they've gone to treatment, then they're able to say, okay, I'm ready for a more consistent schedule. I'm really ready to think about what it is that I want to do. So we provide career assessments to get to that heart of, okay, you've been working, you've been showing up, we've reduced enough barriers, and now it's time. Now it's time to think about who are you and what do you want to do. The career assessment is really that framework of thinking about what are your personality traits that you have every day and how might those translate into career sets. The phase 2 is it's a paid internship, it's subsidized employment, and we provide 90 days of no cost labor. So the customer benefits and then the participant gets to upskill and gets paid to upskill. So that phase 2 is really critical in understanding what it is that I want to do and providing the skill sets necessary for a resume to be able to transfer into that career field. And then the third phase is permanent employment, either through tools through our staffing model, partnerships in the community, vocational training, or direct employer match. Really elevating into that third phase is about, okay, we've worked all of this time to reduce barriers, we've done career assessments, we're looking at housing options. Now I really am ready to go to work full time. The impact that this has is not only does it reduce visible street homelessness because we're providing ample space for people to come in and exist and start working towards goals, but it also lessens the need for permanent supportive housing as we're currently looking at it right now. By creating enough time and enough transition, by providing paid skill development, by offering increased access to employment, we're able to really see folks not only upskill and not only be able to think about what it is that they want to do and start working towards that, but we're looking at exiting them into market rate housing. So it's really impacting the state of visible street homelessness right now. And then we're lessening the need for permanent supportive housing later on because folks we're upskilling, right? We're getting paid to learn new skills and we're transitioning into market rate housing, and that's real impact. We can help to empower folks to begin to think about the future, to begin to dream and to hope, and to think about, okay, now I don't have to do. Now what do I want to do? And the workforce shelter is really designed to provide the tools and the opportunity to hope again.